Starting this new year, I want to look back before we look forward. This past year was a really hard year. Despite all my efforts to keep a tempo that feels good to me, I fell into a major burnout last winter. Doing all that we do, building, gardening, maintaining the land and working, while raising children so far away from our family support system, proved to be too much. Just because I love this life and want to work for this life does not mean I don't struggle and don't get overwhelmed. It just became too much, and so my brain stomped the brakes really hard. I started to get overwhelmed by the tiniest things, had no energy whatsoever, and was just generally in a bad place mentally. And the fact that there were things outside of our control making it too hard to start building our house certainly didn't help. I had to take some major steps back to simply survive. I had to look earnestly at my to-do list and decided to focus on the things that matter most to me: my health, my family, and my garden. Kan je hem laten zien, Bo? I really love spring here on our land. I always struggle with the cold days, even when there are not that many. Spring has a beautiful rhythm to it, starting slowly with a few seeds, and then as the weeks progress and things grow more and more, you add things to your to-do list every day. Having to care for these new plants brings structure to my day, which can bring comfort and a sense of purpose that winter can lack sometimes. I'm grateful that after a few growing seasons here on the land, I can do much of the garden on autopilot. I know the steps that I have to take, what are good times to plant certain things, and I can just put one foot in front of the other. Slowly but surely, I plant everything and build structures for the various crops that need support. Working on the land, repeating the same tasks every season, connects me to reality in a way our old life couldn't. We are more connected to the seasons, the weather, and the climate. It brings structure to my life in a way I didn't know I needed. So that is how I spend much of my spring, in the garden, connecting to the earth and my immediate surroundings. Trying to cultivate a sense of calm and structure to bring my brain back to a healthy state. The thing that I had to give the most this spring was making videos every week. I finally realized that our way of life does not fit into the schedule modern social media seems to demand of us. I simply cannot produce weekly content anymore at a standard I am happy with, while also taking care of myself and my needs. It just took me a while to learn and accept this, and I'm excited to see where this channel can go on this slower tempo. Much of the time, our two children will join me in the garden to observe and help, or simply find their own thing to do alongside me. I've loved it so much to make these memories with them and being more present in teaching them. While it is not always easy to keep them entertained, and sometimes they walk away halfway through a task, I hope that they will look back at these days with fond memories and learn some important skills. Gardening is a big part of how I take care of my family. It is a labor of love so that they might eat well now as well as in the future. And with food costs also rising in our corner of the world, the garden is a major reason we still eat plenty of fresh and healthy food.
Hij knappert. Nou is het gaat nog wat genoeg, denk ik. Oké, ik denk dat het makkelijkste is.
Ik maak dit zo op een foto. Deze is oké, deze is niet. Lina hoopt dat.
I know we have not chosen an easy path. It was a positive choice, as we really wanted to be here and do all these things. I've talked before about how I wholeheartedly believe we are not supposed to do this alone. We are not supposed to raise children in a nuclear family. We are not supposed to rely solely on ourselves for so many of our needs. But to some extent, we had no other choice. We couldn't go on working full-time for not enough money. We couldn't stay in a housing market that makes it impossible to afford a family home, or with bills that double every year. We had to take the little bit of power over our lives that we could get. So we have to accept the bad, for this new life has brought us so much good. In all this, I am so thankful for my ever-supportive partner in crime, Maarten. He has been my rock for a long time, but especially this year. Always ready to be a helping hand when I didn't have the energy, and a loving father to our two children.
Maar ik kan maar staan hier doen.
Deze stokjes zijn een beetje hard.
Recovery from burnout requires a lot of time. And honestly, it did not come as a surprise that I was in this place again. I've struggled with depression of various levels for a long time. A feeling ever present and sometimes throwing me into deep holes. I've always come out of my lows, sometimes through very drastic actions. But burnout is always around the corner. I lived in a city for a long time and led a busy and demanding life. All those years I never fully realized how overstimulated I actually was. It took leaving our jobs, moving into a camper, and coming here to Portugal to sit in silence on a mountain for me to be able to come back to myself and get back in touch with my needs. Listening to myself and my needs is an ongoing struggle though, especially with the demands of the everyday.
Allemaal in doen. Maar hier.
With spring going into summer, I started to feel worse again, and my body and mind was demanding a lot more sleep than usual. It took me a while to accept this, but after getting over the feeling of guilt, I took a nap pretty much every day this summer, and thus my days became even simpler. I'd be in the garden, cook, and then take a nap. It was hard to take another step back, but I didn't have another choice. My love for food has always been a big part of me and always will be. So on the days I had more energy, I'd cook some more elaborate meals, which brought me so much joy. And while I'd love to write a cookbook for you all one day, I'm sure you realize that such a big project is too much for me right now. But I'll be here for a while and the dream will become a reality someday. For now, there is a playlist on my channel where I have gathered all my cooking videos, so that you can use those as a reference.
Kan je in principe met iets van een haak of zo in het midden naar beneden laten gaan? Het water kookt wel op, maar of niet?
I love my garden and it has brought me so much peace and joy this year. But our grapes, honey, quince and olives have always been my favorite to harvest. These traditional Portuguese products are some of our favorite to consume and help us to connect to the culture of the Portuguese countryside. It is so humbling to carry out these activities that have guided life here for thousands of years, even when we give them our own modern twist. They are treasured family moments that aid our integration and will hopefully be carried out by our family for generations to come. We also love to share some of these products, so if you would like to buy some of our locally produced olive oil, you could do so via our website that you can find in the description box. Despite of my mental struggles this year, I wanted to grow and preserve more food. Our grocery bills have gone up, and growing more food has been one way to keep that under control. I planted a big fall-winter patch, starting with cabbages in my main garden and even expanding into a secondary garden space. I basically doubled our vegetable production and I'm more motivated than ever to grow the vegetables we need for our family. I still don't think we will ever be fully self-sufficient, but using the spaces we have will keep us fed in the future. The chickens do deserve a special mention in all of this. In the spring we expanded our flock, and because I finally succumbed to chicken math, we added even more in the fall. Building an extension, mostly by myself, was so fun and rewarding, and I'm so happy to expand the chicken family and see the kids interact with them every day. By now, summer is definitely over in our part of Portugal, which also means it is time to say goodbye to our summer vegetables. While some things did okay during the hot weather, my peppers and aubergines struggled through the summer until the first rain. After that good watering and a drop in temperatures, they came back to life in full force and started producing very well. Sadly for me, that was a little bit too late for the peppers to ripen on the plants before the first frost. So as the frost arrived, I had to pick the peppers anyway to not lose them. To be honest though, I don't really like the taste of green peppers. But after consulting my followers on Instagram, a Portuguese friend suggested to roast them and serve them with sardines. This way of preparing and serving made the flavor much more tolerable to me. It's a great side dish for those summer days where I prepare a little bit of everything, and I'll definitely be making this again next year. This year was a hard year, a very hard year. Probably one of the hardest years of my life. In previous lows, my strategy to get out was making some major changes in my life. But right now, that's not really an option. The kids need love and attention, and food needs to be grown. So I take it slow, and I'm slowly feeling like myself again. Even though it's hard work, the garden has helped me ground in a way that nothing else can. To be outside and work with my hands is exactly what I needed to get better. I no longer feel so tired and overwhelmed, and I can think more clearly again. I found a new balance that makes my life manageable.
Labo, je krijgt die op je bord.
Nou.
Ben jij een beetje aardig, No? Voor toetje.
And as for this new year, I can only hope I keep listening to myself as we finally start a new phase in our project. There is finally a light at the end of the long waiting tunnel, and we can start building our house with newfound energy and excitement. So I hope you'll join us on that adventure, and we'll see you in the next video.